on the need to change, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Need to change actually is by looking into why there is something changes that need to be conducted. Okay, but in this case, the explanation more on the support from the top management. But yeah, while the interviewee explain, they might be connect here and there with the previous code that you have or label that you have. But the gist of the explanation, you need to look into the gist of the explanation because of what? The first sentence is looking into when the project is approved, ICT has requested to increase the staff from the top management. So and then the following sentence actually is a more on explaining about how actually the top management support has been achieved there. You got it or not?
Okay.
Doctor, I think there is another anchor called requirements. I think also it is possible to say because here has requested. So one of the requirements are increasing the
No. To me, it's not on the requirement because it's explicitly explained there. ICT has requested to increase the staff from the top management. It's about the staff there. That's why the researcher put is about human resource in the explanation. Well, the rest, although until the monitoring enhancements, actually is why they need more staff because they need more staff in order to maintain the system for future. Okay, and then also although they might be have the vendor, but the internal staff or the organizational staff need to look into what actually the vendor has been done with regards on certain part on the system. We cannot solely depends on the vendor here. So in this case, the explanation totally on the top management support. Okay.
Okay.
Doctor, can I ask one question? Let's say we have this example, can one item have multiple codes? Let's say I code it in one category, but can I put like two codes in one?
What's the name of the code?
I mean, if I think it refers to both the top management and also the staff.
It belongs to the same, I think, because staff. Why they need the staff is because of something blah 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 blah, but the staff originated need to get approval from the management top management first. Yeah.
Oh, so
I think later you can relate it why there is a staff because the staff need to be hired when it get the approval from the top management.
Okay, maybe during grouping later.
Yeah, during the grouping later. That's why.
Okay.
Sorry, because this exercise is being done by the expert. By the expert researcher. That's why his or her thinking during that time more on higher level, I think. Okay, the next one is also concerned about the top management support, but the explanation more on the hardware and software. I think that's very clear why the hardware and software need to be there. Okay, can we move to the next question? Okay, the question is in what way the project being supported by the top management level. It's again because of what? Although the Mr. Hatch already being explained about about the scenario of supporting from the top management. So in this way, the researcher want to get more explanation regarding how actually the support from the management is there the full commitment being given by the top management or not? Okay, so we look into it. Okay, the answer is we receive all the support from the top management that contribute to this ICT project for public and council. Yeah, so that's why the first sentence is we receive all the support. So meaning that the top management support give support in full. I mean, I think there is no objection. Yeah, so that's why the explanation is receive full support from the top management. And then the next one is from my personal experience, top management plays a main role in new development of using the new ICT. Support from them are important because one project, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So it's about the top management support too, but in a way, this is about getting the explanation is more on getting an approval. So because the explanation is about why the project need to be implemented. Okay, so in order to get it, in order to be implemented, but the top there is a few ways. I mean, a few things that the council need to be done before. I mean, one of them is getting an approval. So meaning that we can say, okay, there is a budget allocation, but in order to get the budget, so in the first step, there must be an approval first. Okay, that's why the explanation is about support from them are important because one project ICT need the high investment based on cost or other and must get approval from top management. Okay. Similar to the next one, from the beginning until this one, from the sentence from the beginning until this means that the cost are 4 million. Also, this one is top management support, and the explanation is about getting an approval. Well, the next one, the last one, in our council, we have Mr. Chairman, who is open-minded. So meaning that is a commitment. The researcher put as a commitment from the leader. I mean, from the higher ranking of the organization. It's the Mr. Chairman as a top council position there. So it's also top management support, but the explanation more on the commitment from the top leader. Okay, I open to the questions. Okay, class, do you have a question?
Doctor, can correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah.
So meaning to say the trick to do this coding is to look at the what do you call it? The topic sentence, the first sentence in the the answer. Is it?
Yeah, you are right.
So
Topic sentence. So you need to familiar what is the main topic that being discussed in the sentence from the sentence.
So the main topic in the topic sentence, usually is in the first sentence. We
Yes.
take out from there, then that would be the main coding on the right side, and then the explanation too is the explanation based on the coding lah, macam tu .
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, thank you, Doctor.
Doesn't matter about the explanation because we will look into the explanation again once we are doing the grouping. Is that the explanation the right way or not? Okay, I think I can continue with the next question. In what way the decision to use outsourcing has been done? Since you look here, actually the question is not being initially the researcher mentioned to me that the question that being asked actually is open. It's based on the feedback from the Mr. H previously. So when you are looking into here, because Mr. H previously mentioned about outsourcing, but there is no explanation about the outsourcing so far. So that's why this question being asked by the researcher. So the researcher wants to understand more about how actually the outsourcing being conducted in that organization. So the type of question for this interview session, I can say is definitely open question. It's open. No script before that. So the answer is that the reason we are using a vendor. Sorry for the grammatical mistake because the researcher because Mr. H is a Malay, so I mean he was using something like bahasa pasar lah, English. I mean, okay. So we are using vendor because we don't have an expertise in the developing of activity. So again, this one is a vendor. You look here, it's an in vivo, actually in vivo code. So vendor, so but vendor itself it will not give any meaning. So need to put additional more word. Require a vendor might be, or vendor support will also can be, yeah. So the explanation is about council don't have an expertise. Okay, although they have an IT people, but the IT people did not capable to carry out the implementation of EPBT. The next one.
Doctor.
Yes.
Can I ask, since you are talking about bahasa bahasa, when we are doing a transcript, mean we are converting from interview to the transcript. So by word we have to translate it, even though our interviewee will use the bahasa bahasa, right?
Yeah. Don't bother about that. It can be used. But in the thesis letter, once you are putting the statements in the thesis, later you need to modify it. But the main what I can say is the main idea or the main gist that you want to explain need to be similar as the original transcript.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Thank you. It's clear.
Doctor, I have another question.
Similar. Sorry. It's also similar if the interview being conducted in different language might be in Arabic. So the original transcript will be in the Arabic, but later you can translate it into English version. It's similar also if the original interview text in Malay, later you can transform it or translate it into English. Doesn't matter. Yes.
So, Doctor, one more thing. Talking about the having different languages, all my data would definitely be in bahasa.
Okay.
So now we want to work smart lah, Doctor. So now, can I not translate all the data, but instead I do the coding everything also in bahasa. Once I'm done with the coding, meaning to say once I already calculated the frequency and not, then only I translate the coding, the anchor coding on the right side to English, rather than I translate the whole transcript in English. Does it make sense or not?
Yeah, makes sense too. But you need by doing that,
Uh-huh.
if you want because of what while you are doing the interpretation in the thesis, you need
Uh-huh.
to add the original text. The original
Okay.
text. I mean, if you not translate it in the first step, so
Uh-huh.
you must make the Malay text.
Uh-huh.
I mean macam ni lah contohnya this is the Malay text. So
Okay.
you bring this one into the thesis in original text,
Okay.
in Arabic or in Malay.
Okay.
And later, later once you put that statement in your thesis, later you need to translate it into English version. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So make sure the meaning similar.
All right. So who would be verifying the translation work?
Okay, normally like me myself when I did interview in Bahasa Melayu,
Okay.
the transcript will be in Bahasa Melayu, but later I will ask a person or an expert in English, I mean, okay, to translate it into English version.
To translate the whole transcript.
Yes. And later, once I get the English version, together with the Malay version, I will meet again the same interviewee, the same person that I interviewed, to make sure that the meaning is similar with the original conversation.
Right.
So that's the validation process.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, welcome. Sorry, because because Dr. Benny asked me focus on qualitative analysis only. So that's why I skip the qualitative data collection. So that's why the step on the data collection I didn't explain it in my slide. Sorry for that. So might be in future I will add about the data collection steps together with the explanation in detail. Then you will get an idea when you do the transcription version. Yeah, I mean, we'll do the transcription for the qualitative analysis usage. So that's the good questions. Okay, can I continue? So the next one is we did not have time to further study in developing the EPBC system, meaning that their staff don't have a time. So meaning that it's a limited period time duration for developing the EPB system. So that's why the researcher put as a required a vendor tool, and the explanation is a time constraint. For details, it might be time constraint for developing EPB system. Okay, but the researcher just mentioned about the time constraint. It can be longer or might be it can be shorter. Yeah, so it's up to the researcher or to all of you. So the next one is we have huge demand by the public that NPPG can produce high product through ICT. Okay, again here it's about this is also being mentioned previously, but under a code name of need to change. Okay, but for this time, since the topic sentence or the main idea is about a vendor, then you need to put under a vendor tool. Okay, you cannot change it into a need to change. Okay, so that's why the register put as a required a vendor, but the explanation is about the demand from the public, for high product of ICT or quality of system. And then again here we decided that MPPG get that the council get expertise from outside, which are vendor. So again, it's require a vendor. That's why it's something like not important, because they just about required a vendor, but the explanation is about there is no meaning of the explanation. So that's why the researcher just leave it that sentence. And the last one is after that we perform open tender to vendor who are interested. So they select the vendor for the vendor based on the proposal system and prices that has been suggested. So here also being coded as a required a vendor, but the explanation is more on a tender specification. Yeah. Okay, the last one is about what were the obstacles or problems that you encountered in the EPBT implementation process. So this is actually more on the obstacle, which is not being mentioned previously by the Mr. H. But since I think the researcher want to end of the conversation, that's why it is the last question that being asked by the researcher. So the obstacle here is so we face the problem, blah, 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 blah. So this sentence, to ensure the successfully of this project is more on the, the labor is an obstacle and the explanation is the end user not giving their cooperation in the beginning of project. It's something like not get cooperation from the end user. And the next one is again obstacle, but there is no commitment. Commitment from who? It's a no commitment from the staff. From the staff, I mean. End user. End user is the staff, yeah. And then the last one is as a result they actually do not know what they need for EPB system. So obstacle again, no idea on the new system. Okay, so far clear? Okay, hopefully you are clear. Then I will continue with my next step. Okay, so this is the second step. So step one, since we already stated our research question for this text, I mean for this interview session. So the idea is want to identify the activities. So the anchor code is activity only. There is no more questions, no other questions. So the second step is the one that we did. So code relevant statement. So we have done that one. Okay, the next step is we need to compile the list of our initial code here. So this is our initial code. So how to compile? So you need to use shift button. Then you need to use arrow, down arrow. Okay, like this one. Okay, you need to scroll down and make sure the all. Sorry. Shift button jangan lepas. So make sure all been highlighted, and then you need to Control C. Okay, once you done, okay, move to the next page. So just Control V. Okay, magic. Okay, these are your initial code. Okay, then you need to put numbering. So there are 27 altogether, the initial codes that you produced so far. Okay, any questions so far? Can anyone respond?
Betul, kamu boleh tak tunjuk lagi sekali step tu?
Oh, ya ke? Okay, alright. Okay, don't worry. So I did it first. Okay, make sure your mouse in the first comment, so involvement, and then use the shift button in your laptop, and then use scroll down button. Arrow. The arrow, down arrow. I mean, cannot use your mouse. This is need to use your keyboard. So make sure all need to be highlighted. Okay, macam tu Then Control C, followed by the Control C, and then place a new page there, and then Control V. Okay, then you need to give a number for those codes. So these are your initial codes.
Sorry, doctor. When he wants to take all of them, it doesn't work. Could you repeat how you do it? Sorry, because when I take it with the mouse, it doesn't work, and when I use the keyboard, it doesn't work too also.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Ariel, use the down arrow button, Ariel, instead of the mouse.
Yeah, use the down arrow button.
I done this, but it doesn't work. I don't know.
Doesn't work.
I think because you let go of the shift button. Don't let go of the shift button. You need to hold the shift button. Press the shift button without lifting your finger, and then down arrow button.
Yes. Okay. If let's say you are right-handed, your left hand need to press the shift button. Okay, are you with me?
Yeah,
Okay,
but
then
I take shift, but unfortunately for me is separate yours. For example, each time if it's choose only two, it doesn't go to the next one. I can share, you can see.
You just press the your left hand need to press the shift button, while your right hand need to go to press the down arrow button.
Okay, I do this, but okay. I try to, but it doesn't work. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I will continue. Let's say you all of you have this step. So you need to number all of them. So these are your step number 3. Step number 3 is a compile a list of initial codes. This step actually you can refer to the slide part 2, the last night slide part 2 about manual coding. Okay, step number 2. Step 3, sorry. Okay, the next step is you need to get the right one. I mean, you need to understand more what the codes that being labeled previously. Okay. So let's say this is your compile application. So I will go to the next page, the same one. Okay, but this time okay, I need to read again all the codes here with the explanation, Involvement, for instance, involvement. Sorry. because we need to cluster, to group the same label. So involvement, I think just one only involvement, and then requirement. There are many requirement here, so meaning that you need to group the requirement into one group. So I move the number 4 here. So this initially number 4. Again, you need to find out requirement, and put it into the same group. Okay, I think that's all for the requirement. And then need to change, need to change also this same group, Also number 9 here. Okay, number 10 also need to change. Number 11 also need to change. Okay, I think that's all. Okay, multi-channel, only one. Okay, the rest from 13 until 19, all about top management, support. And then 20 until 24, about required a vendor. So make a difference, from the next one. The next one is about obstacle. Yeah. Are you with me? So actually we are doing the grouping.
Yeah. Okay, Doctor. Yes,
Okay, so far.
Doctor, just want to ask, if this grouping, can we transfer the grouping to Excel? So it's easier to filter.
It's up to you. Either you want to make in a grouping in Excel or in a Word, because this is a short script, activity transcript, only one interviewee or participant that involved, so not many level of the codes that being produced. Might be if you have longer text. Might be if you have longer text, might be there are too many codes, might be 100 codes. So yeah, I think if 100 codes is quite tricky to use the Word. So you can use Excel spreadsheet, more easier.
Okay, thank you.
But it's up to you. If you're more familiar by using Word, carry on. But if you are familiar with the Excel, so go on.
Doctor, I have another question.
Yeah.
Okay, at this level, say now we are only having one interviewee. Say at this level we have 3 interviewees, and obviously all the coding from each interviewee, we would have similar coding, right? So at this point, so if I were to have 5 codes on requirement from interviewee 1, then another 5 codes on requirement from interviewee 2, do I group them together at this point already?
No. Let's say if you are doing one-to-one interview, I mean your respondent sorry, your interview only one during that time. In one session, in one session, if your participant only one, so make it a transcript, one transcript. In another session, the same will be one-to-one again. So another transcript. So it depends on your approach that you are using, because while doing the interview session, there might be one-to-one, or might be there will be in a focus group. You know the focus group, right?
Yeah.
Focus group meaning that one session, there will
A lot.
be more than
More than
one
one.
participants. So
Uh-huh.
might be there will be 4 persons.
Yeah.
So let's say 4 persons in one session or in one interview. So
Uh-huh.
might be your name dia punya apa? Dia punya text ni will be have Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C,
Right. Okay.
Mr. D answers.
Alright.
So so similar. You need to make it into one code. I mean, because it came from the same session,
Okay.
or I mean from the same interview.
Okay. What if it's a one-to-one, but I have 3 different interviewees, 3 different occasions.
Okay.
Okay. So I have coded all 3.
Okay.
So when I compile the list,
Okay.
do I merge all the codes together, or do I separate? Would I have three sets of compiled lists, or would I have one compiled list?
Different list.
3 different lists.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 3 different lists.
Okay. Thank you, Doc.
Later I will explain when you need in what time you need to
Merge.
compile.
Okay.
Compile those interview transcript or I mean need to compile all those codes. Okay.
Okay.
Later I will
All
explain.
right.
So
But at this point,
one-to-one only.
a one-to-one and 3 different compilation based on the number of interviewee that we
Yes.
have. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So here is the compile list. So these are the outcome from the grouping. So I put here is under step 3, but the task is a grouping. Compile a list of initial code by using the grouping. Okay, the next one, still in the grouping part, but this time you need to revise. This is the same. Oh. Okay. Jadi normal. Okay, but this time you need to look into the meaning, the meaning and also the name of the code, So involvement. So remember, your anchor code. This time you need to remember about your anchor code, Anchor code is activity. Okay, remember this one. So your anchor code was activity. So this time you need to make sense from each of the codes. Is that belongs to the activity or not? For instance, involvement. Do you think that the involvement is one of the activity? Because when we look back into the explanation, my involvement was focused at the preliminary stage until the project was tendered to offer, and then the researcher coded as an involvement initial state. Does it make sense that this sentence belongs to the activity as the anchor code? Can anyone respond?
Come again, sir.
My answer, the codes here is involvement. Okay, in the at the initial stage. My question is, does this code belongs to the anchor code, or does this level belongs to the anchor code, which was activity, or it is only,
No, I think
or it is general statement only?
just a general statement doesn't have anything to do with activity.
Yes. This is not belong to the activity that we are looking. So meaning that this time you need to remember, remove codes that not belong to the anchor code. Did you remember last night I was asking that you need to find out all any codes that you can find out from the text. I didn't constrain on just looking into the anchor code, because in the first step I just want you to get notes, all of you to get know about how to code. Okay, once you have all the code, so this time, or at this step, you need to find, you need to explicitly need to find out what are the anchor code, what are the codes that belongs to the anchor codes, yeah. So that's why.
Sorry, doctor, I'm lost. Okay, because yesterday you said that the anchor code is supposed to be generated by finding the meaningful word from the research question.
Yes.
Okay,
So
so
our anchor code is
where
this one, right?
does but then where does the involvement and the need to change come from, right?
Because last time the researcher just coded any codes. The researcher did not concentrate on only the anchor codes. And me too also didn't explain about is that involvement is anchor code or not, was anchor code or not. I just mentioned about, this is belong to the involvement, because they stated about the involvement, which is this is a type coding method of in vivo code. Okay, so just put the involvement here. So then this time you need to remove all not necessary codes which is not belong to the anchor code. Yeah. So don't worry.
I'm sorry. I mean, like yesterday you said that activity was the anchor code from the research question, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and then in this page, in the screen right now, okay, so the word initial stage, working processes from the previous system, integrated system, etc., are the codes.
Yeah, the codes.
Okay, so where does the word involvement, requirement, interchange, and multi-channel and top-nation support come from? I thought that this involvement, requirement, interchange are the anchor codes generated from the system.
No. It's not belong to the. It's not necessarily belongs to the anchor code. So that's why this time, you need to find out, or we need to find out the right anchor code. Okay, are you with me? So don't be afraid, right? Because of what? You can focus your coding process by looking into only the original, by looking into the anchor code. But for this exercise, or for this exercise that being conducted by the researcher, the researcher just observing or just highlighting the level only, not explicitly mention that those the code belongs to the anchor code or not. But remember that we already highlighted the research question to the first step is like this one, what activities involved as a then emerge as an activity as our anchor code.
Okay.
Said,
Okay, if there's a question, if there's a thing, can I say that, okay, when you have the anchor code and you need to analyze all the interview transcripts, can I say that the researcher has to read maybe like the full transcript first or second time before analyzing it to find out what the talk is all about. And from every answer, then you need to come up with a sort of like a main point or a general main point.
Yes.
And the sub general main point, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you are right. So if you in this way we need to do the reflection. Okay, the researcher. Okay, if you are a good researcher, you can focus only for the anchor code if you are very familiar with the coding process. But I suggest if you are first time doing the coding process, put aside of the anchor code that you already been mentioned in the first step. While you are doing the coding, just throw out the coding or the idea of the that will appear that emerge in your mind during that time. Just do the coding. Doesn't matter about it is anchor code or not, because later we need to filter your initial codes. That's why we have the initial code. Then in the another step we will have the final one. So don't worry about this process. Yeah.
Okay, Doctor.
Okay. I need to continue because it's already 9 p.m. Yeah. So remove the anchor code. So this one I need to remove. Okay. Then I need to look into again requirement, working process from the previous system, requirement again, integrated system, need better ICT service, need better relationship between the public. So this requirement actually belong to the activity or not? Okay, well, we need to go back to the original transcript there. Requirement, where is the requirement? Oh, this one, Oh, yeah, it's definitely close to the activity, because they need to meet the user, and for in identifying what's those requirements that need to be have in the new system, So are you agree with me? So let it be first. Then we look into the need to change. Need to change better service to public, need to change previous system was not integrated, need to change better service to public, need to change citizen satisfaction. So this need to change actually anchor code or not?
Yes, it's anchor code because it's activity.
It's more like the reason to the activity, right?
Yes, it's the forces. What I can say. So it's the forces. Why the EPBT need to have new system? Because there were public demands. Okay, the public were not happy with the previous system. So that's why external forces came from the public to make sure, okay, this council need to have a new system which can cope their needs. Yeah. So yeah, it is more on the explanation about why the council need to implement the system. Yeah. So I can remove this one. Okay, multi-channel. Multi-channel is a combination of new technology and traditional way. Again, this is not an activity. Yeah, it's more on explaining about the multi-channel.
Sorry, doctor, the last one from 7 to 11 is not activity?
It's not activity. It's the reason. It's the forces from the public. Why the council need to change? It's not an activity. Activity
Because everything
is
is changing, it's a kind of activity, because if you don't do anything, it doesn't anything change.
No. Activity actually need to have action from the organizational side. So need to have I can say need to have the characteristic, not a reason, but it's just something like what the council doing. Okay, but need to change. Actually, there's it's something like the reason. It's before the activity. Okay, so the activity is something like getting requirement, getting budget, something like that. Okay, while need to change is the reason why the EPBC system need to be implemented. Okay, because of there are forces from the public to the organization for making or for implement the system.
Okay. A little bit is confused. Okay.
Okay, you need to more read about an activity from the organizational perspective. There are many literature that talking about this one. So I move to the top management support. Okay, top management support. When you look into this one, so actually it's a support from the top management. So actually it's belongs to the anchor code, which is activity. Require a vendor. Okay, require a vendor. Does it belongs to the anchor code or not?
Yes.
Okay, right. Obstacle. Does it belong to the anchor code or not?
No, definitely no.
Okay, you're right. Okay, I can omit this one. Okay, from here, you need to copy. And then you need to remove. So you need to give a number. Okay, now you have altogether 17, 17 codes. So these 17 codes we need to make it as your final list. Okay.
Sorry, doctor. Meanwhile, you are doing your job. My question is, what is your version of your word?
Pardon?
What is your version of your word? What's the version?
I don't know. It's a 2017, I think. Okay, doesn't matter about my version.
Sorry, doctor, because my comment in my word is like cloud. It's not similar to you. It's your comment on the in each page. It's exactly in the right. But my comment is like cloud. It doesn't difference. I think because of this reason, I cannot take all of them in one time with the shift. Can I share my screen for 1 minute?
Okay, hold on. Because I need to complete this process. Later, can you? I will consult you one by one after this.
Thank you.
Okay, these are your final list of the output from step number 3, not your last output, the last one. So we are in the step number 3, compile a list of initial code. So meaning that this is your final list of your initial codes. Oh, sorry, I think this is our step number 4. Step 4, because we are arranging. Sorry. This is arranging them alphabetically and group codes in respective anchor code. Sorry about this one. So the previous one. So this is actually. So this is actually outcome of step number 4 too. While your step number 3 only compile a list of initial codes. So you need to group your initial codes like this one. So the rest, because we are arranging the codes into a group according to the anchor code will be in step number 4. Okay, now once you are doing the group codings according to the anchor code, now you need to also you need to revise your explanation. I mean. Okay, like this one, need better ICT service. So the requirement number 1 is a working process from the previous system. It can be, integrated system. So need better ICT service. Number 4 is a need better relationship between the public. Number 5 is a need better relationship between the public. Actually, when we are looking into the original text, requirement number 3 and requirement number 4 and requirement number 5 quite similar. It's actually need better service. Sorry. So this one.
Doctor, isn't this is the step where we should put in the frequencies?
Pardon?
If I'm not mistaken, yesterday, isn't this the step where we put in the frequencies, from the code?
It will lead into the frequency. Okay? And then don't forget, because we are in the anchor code right now, step number 4. Okay. So actually, remember, step number 4 is belong to the activity, right? So you need to slightly update this one. And then it's a requirement actually. Requirement for working process from the previous system. And also the label need to the rest also. So I will copy this one. Okay. And then the rest. Okay, are you with me? So because step number 4 is stated respective anchor code. So meaning that you need to explicitly mention about your anchor code now is an activity.
Okay, is there any specific reason why you have to arrange it alphabetically?
Because it will organize your data. Will organize your codes. If not in alphabetic, then when the numbers of the code or the level quite high, many, so it's quite difficult for you. So the rest too, So and also you need to give that this one budget allocation. So you can put the budget allocation there, or might be getting. You can use this time. You can use your own your own idea, because it's still the same meaning, but in order to get the same meaning, but you need to act with your own creativity. So that's why, as I mentioned last night, so qualitative analysis, we will looking into your creativity based on the subjectivity and also transparency. Okay, so might be this time is getting enough budget, so the allocation need to be removed. It's also the same meaning, right? So similar to the human resource, might be is a getting human resource. Hardware and software, okay, I think it's okay. Or you can put getting receive full support, getting an approval, okay. Commitment from the leader. Okay, can anyone comment about the commitment from the leader? Is that we can switch to another explanation which is similar with the previous one that we have here? Yes, that's the one that I want to hear. It's also same meaning, receive full support. So I can put here as a full support, receive full support.
But then again, though, when talking about receive full support, it's not an activity. It's more like a request.
No. The activity is a support from the top management, getting a top management support.
Sorry, Doctor.
Oh, okay. Understood.
Understood,
Sorry, Doctor. Why you reduce the number 10 and or 11? Because both are the same.
Number 10 and 11
Yeah.
is same. Yeah, it's okay. Then don't worry. It will be useful later.
In fact, if it's duplicated, we must save it.
Yeah, save it, because it will be useful later.
Okay, why you reduce number 12 because of the meaning is same, but
Because of what? The originals you are putting as a we are putting as a commitment from the leader, right? But the commitment from the leader is also the same meaning as a receive full support. So that's why I changed it
I
as a.
understand, but you told us it doesn't need to reduce 10 or 11 because of it's the same meaning.
Okay, the same code or the same meaning that you already being coded previously, you cannot change. Let's say number 10 and 11, you cannot remove one of them, because it's being stated that the original meaning, the statement belongs to different, the code belongs to the different statement. But for this code number 12, the commitment from the leader actually is the same meaning as receive full support, right? Because the originals, when we go back to the
In fact,
original,
you mean both 12 and another one is in same sentences? In same
no, it's
question?
different sentences. Code number 10 and 11 definitely from different statements.
Okay, I understand, but code from 12 and 9 is in same question.
It's from the same, from the different question, different statement. But when you look into the original text, commitment from the leader. Actually, when it comes to the commitment from the leader, it also similar with the receive full support, right?
Yes.
So that's why if it's different, you initially we are giving a different name, but actually when we looking back, it actually it can be slightly similar. The the statement belongs to to the same meaning. Okay, so we can put as a one or as a same explanation, but it belongs to the different segment. Okay, are you with me?
Yeah. I'm listening to you full. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, the rest I think is also similar. This one, activity. So to make this different. So then you need to count, how many same explanation? Same that you label the same. You need to identify the frequency, for this time. So we are in step number 5, which is group codes and tally the frequency. So this time. Yeah, I just show the output to make this one. Okay, activity requirement, working process for the previous system, only one appeared. Activity requirement for integrated system, one. Need better service. Need better service actually 3 times being mentioned. So when we are looking into the original one, what is the original one? Okay, this one. Need better service 3 times. Codes, code number 3 until 5. So it's a 3 times. And then getting enough budget 1 time, human resource 1 time. Receive full support is a 2 times. And getting an approval 2 times. So the rest 1 time only. So that's why. So this is our frequency of the codes. Okay, that belongs to the step number 5. And for step number 6, we need to generate categories address the research questions. So this time, so this is the outcome that the researcher highlighted. So activity number 1 and 2, the researcher make decision to cluster, to group it together as a requirement gathering. So this the name of the activity. While activity number 3, because it focus on the need better service, so it more on the user needs analysis. When it comes to the implementation of the system, when it comes to the requirement, why need better services, either it is from the council itself or from the public. So the requirement, the original is a requirement, but it closely focus on the needs analysis of the services. So that's why the researcher made decision to put as the user needs analysis. Because of what? Because the number frequency quite high here, number three times appeared, and when you look back into the original transcript, so it more focused on the user needs analysis rather than requirement gathering. And then activity number for the top management support, all closely focus on the support from the top management. While require a vendor activity, three The 3.1, okay, focus on the outsource to vendor. While activity number 4, required a vendor, is demand from public for a quality service. Although it is concerned about required a vendor, but the last decision that made by the researcher, because it's also looking into the demand from the public, so this label code or anchor code is combined with the code number 3 requirement, user need analysis. So this is the one that we are looking into the interpretation by looking back into the gist of the text that we have. While the last one, tender specification, is to outsource to vendor, because when we are outsourcing, we are looking into what are the specs that we need to have in the first place. So the last one, the category that being highlighted by the researcher here, only one, requirement gathering, user needs analysis, support from top management, outsource to vendor. That's all. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Requirement gathering. 5. Requirement gathering, user need analysis, support from top management, and also outsource to vendor. And sorry, it's a 4 only. So this mistake in the numbering process. So these are the list of the final categories that emerge from the text. This is based on the researcher interpretation. Might be if other researcher they might have another opinion. Might be the categories will got different from this researcher. Doesn't matter, because like I mentioned earlier, so it based on the subjectivity or creativity of the researcher. So if the researcher think, so that's the number of the categories that will be produced. So go on, but with his or her own justification, of course.
Can I ask a question?
Yes?
This is the answer for the questions, but what if the research question is different, like measuring the level of something, level of awareness, how important? So the answers will be important, not very important, neutral. Can we also...
No, in qualitative analysis, we don't give something scale like that. Some important, not important. Definitely will not, cannot be allowed in qualitative analysis.
So how can we?
Because when you put moderate, not important, you already give your initial judgment on the text. Okay, it cannot be like that, because the objective of doing qualitative analysis is we want to find out the fruitful of the rich data that we have. So actually, what's the meaning inside of the text, rather than you are putting skills from the text? Cannot be like that. So that definitely close to the quantitative analysis.
Doctor, I would like to ask a question. This one is related to the anchor code, which is activity, right?
Yes.
So there would be at least maybe 3 to 4 anchor codes, right?
Yes. If you have another question that you might have.
Okay. My question is, the one that we have deleted, will it be involved in another codes, something like that? The one we have deleted, the possible.
Possible if you have if you have your own justification.
All right.
Okay. Remember, this is the categories that emerge from one interview, from one transcript. So let's say you have 3 interviews. then you need to do the second interview like this one, the same process until you pick out the categories. Okay, might be the categories will get less or more. And then for the third transcript from the third interviewees, that you need to do the same process again until you reach a final product, which is the categories. Okay, let's say you have three groups of categories from three transcript. Then after that, you need to look into the similarities of those categories itself. Okay, on that note, I will explain in the next slide. Okay, I heard there is one question.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I will stop sharing this document. Okay, sorting. We have went through about manual coding process. Okay, the next one is how can we use a sorting strategy? Actually, it's quite similar. Yeah. So, but this time is if you have more than one transcript or more than different transcript that we have. So there are 8 steps together. The first one is to assess the characteristics of each code. Second one, determine the dominant codes. Number 3, put the first and second dominant codes into cluster 1 and 2 together. Fourth, explore potential relationship between the dominant codes and other codes. Number 5, put the selected codes into their respective clusters. Number 6, put the remaining codes in cluster based on their relationship. Number 7, label the cluster. And number 8, sum up the code frequency under each cluster category. Okay, for this exercise, I will give a different scenario. Okay, let's say you are analyzing interview transcript, more than one transcript, to help address the research question. What are students' benefits of a flipped classroom? So the key anchor code should be benefit. Benefit of a flipped classroom. So this might be the codes that generated based on the relevant information selected from the transcript. So there are 8 codes together. First one, helpful course materials. Number 2, improve engagement, increase motivation, mere prepared for lessons in class, increase student satisfaction, perceive students' learning, positive view of the course, and last one is to promote active learning. Okay, when we are moving, since these are the codes, okay, so from the previous explanation, I did mention that once you have the codes, then the next one is to identify possible of categories. Okay, we are not, I didn't talking about team yet, I just mentioned about the categories. So in order to identify the categories, so you could assess the characteristic of each code in terms of, So this is the exercise that we have went through so far from the manual coding previously. So actually, in order to identify the characteristic of each code, we are looking into its meaning, its generality, frequency, and what it represents. So I will go one by one about it. So the first one is...
Just before we move further, can I just ask?
Yes. Hello there. Later, can you ask me again? So I will continue with the assessing the characteristic of each code. Sorry, I not. So its meaning that if you were to explain what the code is about to the research community, what would you say? In simple and practical terms, what does the code mean? So meaning that we are looking into the meaning. This is since the study looking into the benefits of the flipped classroom to the community. Community might be students, lecturers, or anybody that are looking into the flipped classroom benefit. So the meaning need to explain about something their benefit in terms of might be in the practical. What are the practical ways that the classroom give to the community? So what does it the code meaning? So we need to identify the meaning of the codes. So the second one is about the code representation. So what kind of participant response does the code represent? So you need to ask, or you need to identify what kind of participant response does the code represent. At this stage, you could revise the code. That's why we are labeling, giving to the relevant information in the data if needed. So that's why we are revising the initial codes that we have, that we did previously. So what it represents, its frequency, how many chunks of relevant information are assigned to the code. So we are looking into the frequency. The highest number, meaning that the code's quite important. Its generality, So based on the significant information coded, how many participants are connected to the code. So the number of sources of the significant information under each code. So it's more on the generality. So if you have 5 interviewees, so we need to find out the generality between one transcript to another transcript. Okay, so we need to find out the similarity of the categories. So when we find out the similarity of the categories, so meaning that the identified categories basically would be the important one of your code, the outcome from the coding process. So the next one is number 2. Step number 2 is we need to identify the dominant codes. So of course the dominant codes by looking into the frequency and also by looking into the generality, because we have more than one transcript, right? So we also look into the generality. Okay, back to the example. What are student benefits of a flipped classroom? So this might be the answer from the study. Okay, so altogether, so these are the code that being coded. So altogether, have 11 codes were generated, and then we look into the generality since we want to identify the dominant. So in order to get the dominant one, so we need to find out the generality and also the frequency. So the first dominant here, if looking into the frequency, so you have the highest number is 8, which linked to the codes of improved engagement. And the second dominant is frequency number 7 here, helpful course materials. So meaning that the first dominant and also the second place dominant code need to be in your final category, while the rest you need to revise, okay, here and there. So the first and second dominant in step 3, you need to put under cluster number 1 and cluster number 2, definitely, because it's the one that we need. Okay, and the rest one is might be need to be in your category or might be not be put into your category at the end. So that's why we need to make a cluster. Okay, so the cluster number 1 is improve engagement, and cluster number 2 is a helpful course material, while cluster number 3 still empty and cluster 4 still empty. The number of cluster is up to you. Might be you want to have cluster number 5, 6, and so on. Okay, but in my experience, the less number of cluster would be a good one. Okay, we don't want to identify many clusters because they will make us risky to make a generalization later. Generation to identify the best code and also the team. So go back to our codes, generality and also frequency. So from this number, we need to explore potential relationship between the dominant codes and other codes. So meaning that we need to identify or we need to explore what the possibility, is there any relationship meaning a linkage between improved engagement, for example, into another code. Is there any possible of relationship? Similar to the helpful course material, is there any possible relationship between helpful course materials with other codes listed here? We not only looking into the frequency this time. So, but the frequency also can give you an idea how to make. Is that the rest of the code will be the same cluster as placed in the dominant code. So, for instance, you have improved engagement, the frequency is 8, and you put as a cluster number 1. And then when we go back into the original transcript, then we see that there is a possibility to make a connection between the improved engagement with the increases motivation, because increases motivation, this one increases value on learning activities. Okay, so and also might be promotes active learning, can be linked to the improved engagement too. Okay, because promotes active learning indicated here frequency number 3. Okay. And more prepared for lessons in class can be linked into the improved engagement too. More prepared or not listed here. Oh, this one, sorry, 3, And similar to the cluster number 2, you can identify what the possible connection would be. So the researcher make decision that glucose material can be connected into the increases value on learning activities. Okay, while the rest, increase performance, increases student satisfaction, perceived student learning, positive view of the course taken, and reduce stress. Okay, still they are not belongs to anyone. So we can might be in this one, when we look into the name of the code, increases performance, increases student satisfaction. So this indicate that they can be putting into one cluster as a similar group. So increase performance and also perceived students learning. Sorry, it's not increase student satisfaction. So increase performance and perceived students learning, while the increased student satisfaction and also positive view of the course taken can be put under the same cluster number 4, while the one that not being taken into any cluster is a reduced stress, because reduced stress, do you think it is a benefit, really benefit or not? So if you think it is a really benefit, it's a reduced stress is a benefit, but since it is not cannot be connected to the other cluster, although it is only frequency one frequency only, so we can put another cluster. So these are the last cluster, the final cluster I mean, that being produced by the researcher, yeah. So step number 7 is you need to label the cluster. So far, is there any question? So step number 8 is a sum up the code frequency. Just you sum up this one, 8 plus T plus T plus T altogether is 17, something like that.
My question is cluster 1, number 2, increase motivation. Why does it not into cluster number 4, like increase student satisfaction? Would it be something like that also?
Yeah, it can be if you think it is connected to the cluster number 4, but since doing a quantitative analysis is a subjectivity to the researcher. So if the researcher think the original text, it can be, it should be putting into the cluster number 1. So the researcher carry on with that decision. So if you think that the increases motivation need to be merged into the cluster number 4, why not? Because you have your own justification. Remember, as I explained earlier, there is no wrong, or there is no wrong in doing qualitative analysis. Okay, if you have your own justification. Okay, class?
Okay.
Okay, clear, Can we take about 5 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we almost to 10 o'clock now. Okay, if you have any question, please go to the chat room,
Sorry, doctor, can I share my screen?
Okay, sure.
Sorry, doctor, could you see? My comment is here. For example, if when I want to select it, for example, this is like this. And when, for example, when I get it, use shift and down button is only one. I cannot do anything to go to another one.
Rian, you need to go to the review tab and open comments.
Yes. You need go to the review, okay, and then
Show comments. In the middle, set next.
Show comment, okay?
No. Oh yeah, show comments. Okay, they will appear all comments there.
Okay.
And then you can use the shift and down arrow button.
But you need to revise because there is additional comments there.
Another thing is when I want to delete this one, it doesn't delete it. I cannot delete.
You need to go one by one, Arian. Okay. Let's say, okay, you need to highlight that one. This one, okay. Right click. Use your button right click. Okay, there will be delete comment.
Okay, thank you.
You cannot delete simply by pressing the button delete.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Tadi mama punya tu kalau ada yang game before, dia buka connection.
Buka internet. Okay, there is a question from Nora Ismail. Let's see, we have 5 transcript. So this is the one that you need to put together, all your transcript. So this one. So let's say you have 5 transcript and then 5 and then all the codes that came from those 5 transcripts. Okay, so you need to list all the codes that you have from those 5 transcripts. Okay, if the code is similar, then it will come to the frequency. So let's say helpful course materials. So 7 frequency meaning that it will come from interviewee number 1 combined with interview number 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So this is the time that we are combining together by using the frequency and also the generality, because this is the number of participants is a 10 here out of 10 participants. Okay. So meaning that helpful course material, it came from the 5 participants out of 10, and the frequency number appeared are 7 times together. Okay. While for instance increases motivation, only 2 participants that mention about increases motivation. But in the text of these two persons, they appeared 3 times frequency. Okay, might be one time from participant number 2 and 2 times from participant number 8. Okay? Nora? Boleh ke?
Yes, Doctor. Yeah, thank you, Doctor.
Alright. Okay, the rest, if you have any question, you can ask me before I proceed with another slide.
Tak ada dah, pakai tak ada semua. Hasan pun tidak awal. Tapi dia tidak, pukul 12 lagi dia bangun.
Okay. This time I open to all. What can you say about conducting qualitative analysis? It's more on the on reflection. Okay, I open to the discussion. Okay, what you can understand by having this diagram or by having this slide? Can anyone explain?
Honestly, I was thinking that before, by using quantitative, we can get the data that we need. But then, rather to explore more, we do need the qualitative analysis. It's just that from generating relevant data into code, and then putting them aside. So, katakanlah kalau kita dia secara in Malay, if it's in Malay, dan saya nampak macam benda ni kes saya isi ke surat lah dalam satu karangan macam tu.
Okay.
So right now, the question I was asking right now is that whether we can, because that you said, okay, one anchor code comes from one business question. So can we from one transcript, for example, and we have 3 research questions, and we have 3 anchor codes, so can we actually analyze all 3 anchor codes from one transcript?
3 questions in one transcript. Is that your question?
Yeah, because just now that we our exercise just only shows that for one anchor code for one transcript, right?
Yeah. Boleh. Jawapannya
so there are some point.
Ya, jawapannya boleh. Can be there would be more than one question. Will be more than one anchor code from one transcript of interview. So actually, this diagram, you need to go to the basic understanding about qualitative analysis. Remember, as I mentioned earlier, qualitative analysis, we need to have raw data. In order to get a raw data, there are many types of data that will, the sources would came from the majorly came from the interview transcript, and then would be documents. Okay, document might be is annual report, and so on. Artifacts might be historical data. Okay, in one organization. I mean, might be is a records of filing system, their filing system. So we call as those document as artifact, whereby the documents might be recent document. Field note is might be while you are doing interview, and at the same time you have the opportunity to see or to observe. For instance, you are identifying what are the activities involved in the process something, in process of making, let's say in process of making decision. So you have the opportunity to be there in the organization, having with the managerial level position, in one meeting. During the meeting, you cannot, you are not allowed to record, but you will be given to observe only. So while during the observation, you need to take note all the things that you are observed during that time. So that task we call as a field notes. So if you have many process that you are, many meetings that you are attending, then you will have many notes. So that one we call as a field notes. Okay. So that also will be useful as your raw data. Okay. So from this kind of raw data, while you want to do the not all this data will be useful at the end. So you need to filter one actually the right data from the raw one. So that's why we call as a relevant data. So might be the artifacts which 20 years ago might be not very useful. Yang file system yang lapuk-lapuk tu might be tak berguna lah, as it is outdated. Okay. While the recent one would be the useful that need to be used in your qualitative analysis later. Okay. So that we call as a relevant data. From the relevant data, then we are playing around with the coding process. So the coding process, the term that you need to have in your mind is about code. It's all about a code, code A, code B, code C, and many codes. Which from the many codes that you have initially, initial one, then you need to filter only the needed code that will be useful for categories. Okay. For master's level, for MBA, so the teams might be not necessary to be identified, only the categories. So go back to the coding. So these are, initially we have many codings. Okay, many codes. The possible code is the anchor codes, okay, that we have. So many codes there at the first step, then we need to filter. Okay, filter it by using clustering concept or categorizing concept. So you will find out your categories. Okay, so we are not going here, themes and also theory, only categories. So this scholar Philip Adu mentioned qualitative analysis is about reducing data without losing its meaning. It's true, because we are reducing. The first one, we are reducing your raw data that you have, okay, and you identify only the relevant one. From the relevant one, we only code the important one. Then later you identify in your codes as your anchor code. From the anchor code, you have many codes. Then you are reduce again. to come out as your category. So that's why we call it as a reducing data, but without using its meaning. So qualitative findings in a parallel way, you also need to think about qualitative findings from the categories here, which the finding need to represent your data, and also beside it represent your own data that you have from relevant data here, you need also to address the research question that we have. Okay, clear or not from my explanation? Okay, I will go to another slide. So these are the coding steps. So the majorly is a coding. We have a coding step. We also have a sorting step, and also we have a synthesizing step. And this one we are not. I didn't explain about the theorizing. Okay, only achieve for the synthesizing. Okay, so these three coding process. Okay, we from the coding process itself, from the coding name. Okay, we should identify the codes. So the outcome is a code, while we are reducing the code or we are doing the sorting, so it will produce our categories. Okay, while if you have many categories, later you can make it as a team. Okay, team meaning that there might be more than one team, or might be there will be one team only. So this is a process of synthesizing actually. And theorizing later will appear if we do the synthesizing process. It will come out the theory. So what I can say from my explanation, we just achieve level synthesizing only, which is we didn't call a team, but we have a categories, and later from the categories we just produce only important categories only. So that they also come as the synthesizing process. Okay, remember about our cycling, our coding, our coding method. While we are doing coding, so you must know about how to code or what to code. Okay, so we have a coding here. Let's say we are in a coding step. So you must have a basic function about this name, yeah. For instance, in vivo coding, emotion coding, narrative coding, and so on. Okay. I also did mention, doesn't matter about the name of the coding. Yes, it's true. Just you know the function of each one by one. Okay. Then once you have your list of codes from the coding, which I call as which Saldana call as a first cycle coding, then we need to go to the sorting step. Sorting step meaning that we call as a Saldana call as a after first cycle coding. So meaning that in a sorting step, we are trying to categorizing. Remember about the categorizing, and also we are generating something like a category, or later we become as a team. So in order to do this, categorizing codes and also generating categories of team. So we are looking into the relationship between the codes, frequency, and also frequency come together with the generality, and also the other one is the underlying meaning across code. So the meaning of the code, okay, because might be different code, but will give a same meaning. Okay, so that's why we need to look into the underlying meaning across code. While for theorizing, okay, it will be another cycle which Saldana called as a second cycle coding method. So this time we'll use pattern coding, focus coding, agile coding, and theoretical coding. But we are not achieved this level yet. Okay, only achieve this level. Level, meaning that we are using first cycle coding and also the result of the after first cycle coding only. Okay, so far there is there any question regarding our reflection?
Will there be any false positive result for this?
What do you mean by positive result?
False positive. I mean, it's like, yeah. For
False
example,
result.
we are collecting the raw data from someone who are not really particular with the field or the team, and then we put it as codes.
Oh, okay. I know, yeah. So meaning that that's why your question actually connected to the data collection method. So in data collection method, so one of the things or one of the important things that we need to get or to identify is the right person, that they will give you the right information. So that's why that close to the point of sampling. Okay, sampling method in doing data collection for qualitative research. Okay, so meaning that let's say you need to have your perspective while doing your research. Let's say you are looking into side of I give example okay, online buying online buying lately quite higher in Malaysia because of pandemic situation. So why actually the pandemic situation gives a result of higher buying from any platform in internet. So you need to ask your participant would be from what perspective? Is that you are looking into customer perspective, or you are looking into seller perspective, or any other perspective? Might be is a bank as a service provider for the online bank for the online transaction being conducted. So this perspective will direct you to get a right person who will give the answer of your research questions later. Okay, clear or not from my explanation? Just a short one only Kalau nak detail kena baca buku ada topic about data collection for qualitative research
Doctor?
Yes.
Okay, my question will be simple. Maybe you already tell us before this. Actually, from your opinion, what will be the best number of questions and how many participants for the respondent for the qualitative questions? Is it for the qualitative survey? Is it your suggestion at the best number of how many respondents and how many questions?
How many respondents, how many questions? Okay, let's go back to the data collection stage or method. Okay, the numbers actually will only appear if you can get access to the right person. Let's say your unit analysis will be at the organizational level, So you are looking into let's say for the example that I've given to you, that we are carrying on doing the manual coding process. So it's a public. public organization, which is a council. Okay, the council, when we are looking into the council, so the question is about the activities that being conducted for implementing customer relationship management, is D2C in the public council. Yeah. So go back to your question. Is there would be many people in the public, in one public council, that have the experience in implementing the G2C system?
Tekan ni.
Not many, right?
Kenapa tekan ni?
It might be can be it's head of department, and also might be managers that doing the procurement process. Okay, or might be programmers, might be the technical person, or might be it's a system analyst. It might be only 4 person. Itu pun dah cukup cantik. Or might be just only 1 person that involved in the process. So that's why it's also limited. So the number by using the example, if you only can get access to one public council, so the number only 3, let's say. And then if you find out another public council, so you don't have the opportunity because of the time constraint. So you have limited time doing your AR, right? So within 3 or 4 months, you only get 1 public council. So that's okay. It's from the experience of that public council. So you can, from the organization, so you can put your limitation there. So since the perspective is only looking to the participants that having the experience in implementing the system, and within the time constraint period, you only can get access only 1 organization. So why not just go on with that number, 3 or 4? It's okay. About the questions, okay. Since you only give the opportunity to get 1 organization, okay, you cannot use close-ended question because it will limit the explanation from that people. Dah lah 3 orang and then you limit you punya question kan? Tak boleh. It cannot be like that. You need to do open question. So that's why the question need to be asked based from the previous feedback from the participant that you have. That's why the tool of tape recorder or handphone, okay, you need to record during the interview session. Okay, does it answer your question?
Means, doctor, we don't actually have to set that the question set for the qualitative survey need to be like 10 questions, not necessarily like that, is it? So we can because
cannot.
Okay, like us, we have to prepare the question template for the qualitative survey. So that's why I'm thinking.
Qualitative survey or qualitative interview?
The qualitative interview. Okay, interview. The interview question.
Okay. You can have your list of questions, but it need to be open-ended question, type of question, I mean. Cannot, or might be it's a combination of open-ended with a semi-structured. Semi-structured meaning that some question will be narrow in narrowing the answer later. Okay, faham ya?
Hello, doctor. Can I ask you some question?
because some of us are still not very familiar with the data collection. So are you going to teach us how to draft the question and how to collect the data, how to analyze the data? Because now, so these 2 days, you are teaching about the coding and also the analyze the data. But how are we going to take down all the notes given by the interviewee? And also, are you teaching the NVivo? Because so far only manual, Thank you.
Yeah, I know. In my next sessions, we have 2 more sessions, right? So I will concentrate on in NVivo because Dr. Benny mentioned to me, okay, you need to share my knowledge regarding the qualitative analysis. So qualitative analysis is once we have a data. So I assume you already know about data collection stage. So that's why I didn't put that that information in my slide. Okay, and I think it will since I have 4 sessions altogether. So I in my planning I cannot put that slide or that information into our next session because next session very technically and focusing on the NVivo software. But if you need my consultation or my advising, so you can just meet me up. I mean through the WebEx in other times, yeah.
Okay, noted. Thank you. Then can I know? Can I ask Doctor? Is it possible to exclude the qualitative in our actual research? I mean, like only quantitative, or must be combination of mixed
no,
method?
combination. For actual research, you need a mixed mode. Mixed method.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.
Okay, for seminar 1, 2, and 3, okay, you need to prepare your own data, okay, because last time, okay, during for BR class, okay, you need prepare your proposal. But for this semester, now we have on November, I think we assume you have own data now. But I will prepare about dummy data, Dr. Madi.
Yes.
Right?
Doctor, you said we must not ask a question that ends with open, close the question. But some questions like, how can I measure the awareness so that they either know about, let's say, digital marketing or not? I want to measure the level of awareness. How should I ask an open question? Is it yes or no?
If you want to measure awareness, it only can be conducted in quantitative manner, not in a qualitative. Unless you are asking about in order to get an awareness, okay, what are the elements? Something like what are the elements that need to be have in getting or in evolving the awareness among an employee, for example, yeah. So that one can be asked as a qualitative manner. Something like you cannot measure. Qualitative manner is not measuring. Remember about that, yeah?
So my question to Dr. Benny, Doctor, can the qualitative analysis just relating to one of the objective, not all of the questions or objective? Because
for first objective for my class, I think I don't know for others class. For my class, okay, we decide the first objective to identify what issue. Okay, what issue happened to this company? Okay, we need to know based on the interview qualitative method. And the second question, to measure level of effectiveness our intervention. Okay, we need use quantitative. like questionnaire, we distribute questionnaire to measure before and after using t-test analysis. Okay, what I'm done for first seminar. Okay, and the third, to recommend the for future study. Okay, using quali and quanti finding. Okay, they're the basic for action research. But it depends to your supervisor. Maybe your supervisor add more research objective. It's up to your supervisor. But the basic you need to starting, or maybe for quality or quantity, it's up to you.
Okay. Okay. Based on Dr. Benny's explanation, the first question that you need to identify, okay, might be is you need to identify issues, right? So in order to identify issues, you cannot limit by asking, is that is the issue that appear in your organization? You couldn't ask it like that. So you need to open it. So might be your question would be, okay, by since we are in 21st century, so is there any issues that your organization facing while blah 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 something? Okay, so your question would be open. Okay, then the next question would be based on the issues that the interviewee answer. So might be the explanation is talking about 3 issues, but not in a proper manner. So this is the best time that you need to ask one issue by one. Okay, that's why you need to have another question for the follow-up question. It's on the first one. So might be second question, you want to more get clarification on the issue number 1. Okay. Once you're done with the issue number 1, then follow with the issue number 2 and 3 and so on. Or might be issue number 1 too many. The interviewers eager to explain more about the issue number 1. So might be you don't have a time to get to get an explanation about issue number 2 and 3. So why not just focus on the issue number 1? So that's the way of qualitative research will support the researcher. Okay, so remember there is no and right, okay, answer to because it based on the interviewee's explanation about something that you ask them.
Doctor, I just want to ask a question. So, for the open-ended question is something like you are asking a question and they must give a full statement answer. It should not be yes or no, right? Is that what you mean? Huh?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say
if the answer is a yes or no, then it is then we call as a close-ended question.
Okay. So, doctor, fine. Okay. But let's say the same question I ask maybe on 20 participants, and the answer maybe wouldn't be same. Maybe be different. So, how to analyze the data? Which one to take as to consider it as a serious data? I mean, to analyze the data for AR, because there might be different answers. So, how to evaluate the data?
In order to evaluate, so you must have the transcript first from the recording. So once you have the transcript, then you can read it. Is that the text will give you answer from the research question that you have? Okay, until you get a full data. I mean, full data is the full transcript from the interview session.
That means our question is based on our research question, must be correlated to our research question, and then and from there only we have to do the collection of the data. Is it something like that, doctor?
Yes, correct.
But if let's say if it's already out of the topic of our research question, we cannot consider it as a data, or we have to go for the next one.
Next one. Just omit.
So Okay, let me, for the first question, if I ask him, okay, do you have relationship with your supervisor? If they give me a full string, yes, I had the relationship few times. Then second, we have to, okay, then second question is how long you have been having a relationship with supervisor. So that means it has to be, what you call it, correlated from one to another, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
So let's say,
it need to be connected, the questions, yeah?
okay, doctor. So if it connected means, that means the question will be more longer, doctor. Maybe more than 10 or 15.
Yes,
Until
that's why
until we come to the conclusion, see?
Yes, that's why I ask you. The question would be anything.
So it's an
Uh,
endless question, doctor. Is it? It's an endless question.
yes,
Okay.
you are right. But
Okay.
if to be prepared, yeah, you must have at least 5 questions that related to your study. So the question need to be the close one that might be you get from the interviewees. Okay, so I believe you have made doing your literature review, right? So from the literature review, you have initial idea about your study talking about. So from your assumption, so you can put a list of questions, but might be you didn't have enough time to ask your listed question that you identified earlier. Because of what? As I mentioned you just now, the question they might be since the question since the answer will be any, right? So and then you need more clarification from the things that being explained by the interviewees. That's why you need to find out more and more and more from the feedback that being given by the interviewees. Rather than you asking a question that not related to that person.
Okay, doctor. Let's say, let's say if the question be arise, if they don't want to answer, then what we should consider it as? How to evaluate the data?
Okay, I know. Okay, let's say if you ask, might be the interview answer is, I'm sorry, I cannot comment your question, something like that. Okay, it's okay. Just might be you need to twist the questions in another way. Okay, might be the interviews did not comfort the type of question that you ask them.
Okay. I mean, you have to be like a news reporter, doctor.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, doctor, I understood.
Hello, doctor.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ali, you go first. You ask first, right, Ali?
No, I'm not asking. I'm just saying that Vishnu's comment is very good. I like it. Good job.
Okay, sorry, doctor. Actually, I'm preferring a semi-structured interview whereby I'm preparing several questions in the first place. And should I hand over the question to my interviewee?
Yes. If you're doing semi-structured, yeah, please, you need to give them time to read first. Is that the question they can ask or they can answer or not?
Okay. Another one thing, doctor, from my understanding from these 2 sessions, yesterday and tonight, we are about to creating some codes, and then we are, from anchor code, initial code, and then we're categorizing them. Then what's next? I'm still quite, I couldn't able to link it. My next step in order to find a way to point it out, what finding should I point out from these kind of activities? You see, from having this kind of activities, at the end of we are categorizing those codes. So what should I do next?
Okay. Next, okay. Actually, by having these 2 sessions, I think if you merely understand, you can continue with your study. I mean, since I already shared about identifying suitable of codes from your initial codes, right? Identifying suitable of categories from the codes that you have. By doing the manual one, so that's your finding. It's a category, which is the category you need to interpret. Do the interpretation by having your statement, the right statement based on the codes that emerge with your study. In giving you more understanding, I advise you to read a paper of a result paper from an article that have a qualitative studies as their content. From there, you can know how to make the categories as your final result from the qualitative part in your thesis. Yeah.
I try to understand what you're trying to say. In other words, once we have managed to find categories, in our finding chapter, we have to elaborate our understanding, our perceptions about those categories. You know, we should interpret that, the words, according to our understanding.
Yes.
Yeah. And then that should be our finding, is it?
Yes.
Ah.
You need to interpret.
Okay.
Okay. So the next session is actually by using the computer aided software. It's the same process. Just a diploma is we need to familiarize with that software. But the step or the things that you need to be done is the same one as a manual coding.
Okay, understood. So the interpretation, there's no right, there's no wrong. It's according to our understanding, right?
Yes, it's based on your understanding. That's why you need familiar first from the literature. Because if you find out the categories, okay, in manual coding, like we did just now, so then you need to support with the literature. Is there any literature that talk about the top management support in a way of giving a budget or in the giving of full commitment from their top leaders? I believe there are many literature that talking about this one. So this is the time that you need to tally it out with the literature again.
Okay. So Doctor, in case, in my case, my topic is quite new. Even among academicians, there is no empirical study about it. There's only, I think, about one newspaper articles. This is this is one or two newspaper article which written by academician. So it is easier for me to interpret because this is a new field, is it?
Are you sure there is no literature that support your empirical study?
Because in my topic, currently no empirical research. There's other, this is other area that researcher currently are focusing on. But in the topic that I'm talking about, there's one or two academician spoke to the newspapers journalists and been written in one or two newspapers. This is just a new idea being thrown out to the public, and even the academician also urge academic to go into this topic.
Okay, if let's say there is less literature that support your finding, you can give an example from other domain. I mean, let's say you are studying in one domain, right? But I believe there is another domain that already being done by doing this similar approach that you are doing right now. Okay, so you need to link your domain of study with other domain.
Okay.
Is that the output contradict or not, or you are getting a similar result? Understand?
Yeah, understood. Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, class, I think I have done with my day 2 session, yeah. So hope you